Welcome everyone to Love Wrestling featuring the Smackdown recap. My name is Chris Parrish, and alongside with me is the mighty one himself, Mighty Joe, and the Canadian Goose, Kyle Shaw. Joe, Goose, welcome. Thank you for coming along.
What happened to our background here?
Pardon?
What's that?
The background. What happened to the background?
Don't worry about that, Goose. I'll take care of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But yes, we are here capturing WWE Smackdown, and I thought it was actually a really good show. Amazing how much more storytelling I believe Smackdown has over its counterpart on the Monday brand. Wrestling plug and conk. And right before that, they were saying, let's go. And let's go it is. And we let's not even waste time. Let's start out with a promo that started it off, and it was the Usos and Roman Reigns, where Usos have a match later tonight against the Street Profits, which I'm not going to lie, guys, I was actually looking forward to this match. What did you guys think going into SmackDown, knowing we were going to see the Usos against the Street Profits?
It's an interesting matchup. Like I said, a lot of people seem to be kind of down in the Street Profits for whatever reason. I've honestly always been kind of a fan of the guys. I know that they're still kind of relatively green in the business, but I think, especially entertainment wise, which I mean, in WWE for the most part, that's what we're shooting for. I mean, it's right up my alley for the most part. I dig the guys.
Yeah, Goose, what did you think?
I thought that this was a fantastic match. I really like the Street Profits. I don't know why anyone would be dogging on them. This is like one of the best matches I've seen them in, for sure.
Yeah, and that kind of takes us right into the match. I just wanted to highlight the promo where Roman was asking Jimmy, I believe, kind of what his intent was, and then Jimmy was like, win the tag titles so we can have the tag titles, you can have the Universal titles, we can do this family proud. And then he walks off, and then he kind of talks to Jay. He's like, this is what you want? And then Jay has to reinforce, I'm with you, Oos. I'm with you. And he's like, okay, but tell your brother that. And then we get right into a promo with the Street Profits, who kind of make a little bit of fun of the Usos. Usos come back. We see a little jibber-jabber match. Great match. I thought these two teams had instant chemistry right away. And I thought this was an absolute golden opportunity to say, hey, SmackDown, we now have not only these two teams, we got the Alpha Academy, we got the Mysterios, we got the Dirty Dogs. We now have our own legit tag team division if we want to work our way around this. I thought this was a great match. Usos pick up the win, which didn't surprise me because I didn't see how you can not go the Usos way right now with that story being as hot as it is. What did you guys think about the Usos getting the victory here and them asking Pierce to have a championship match next week with whoever the champs were? Like, what are your guys' thoughts about the Usos becoming the number one contenders to the tag titles?
The setup, the end game here has got to be. Because I always forget which brother is who. Jay is the one that's actually with Roman. Like, he's the one that's actually like turned to the dark side or whatnot.
Yeah.
So the end game here is clearly Jimmy getting Jay back over with him to turn on Roman, right? That has to be that's the storyline that would make sense here, right?
I think so. Goose, what do you think?
I kind of think that, like you said, you were surprised that the Usos, like you weren't surprised the Usos won. I kind of was. Like, I was like thinking that the way we were going to go here is that the Street Profits end up taking home the win, and then that's going to cause even more tension for Jimmy and Jay and Roman. But I do want to just like mention like how good the promo was with Roman and Jimmy and Jay. Like, Roman is such a dick. Like, you could tell, like, oh boy, like this is the best stuff I've ever seen him do. Yeah. Like, I buy his character completely and I don't like him.
And as it should be with the bad guy, right? And with working with Paul, I mean, that's clearly rubbed off on him. And who would have thought? I mean, like, going back, especially with Carl and myself. I mean, for years and years, saying, that we weren't a fan of Roman, and the promos were like the last thing we would be talking about, literally the last thing, right?
Yeah.
And now we're like, dude's killing it character-wise, being a bad guy, right? And that's it speaks volumes because it's been a long time coming.
He's come a long way from Sucker and Succotash, I'll tell you that.
Well, I was going to say he's come a long way from John Cena calling him out on, hey, it's a promo, kid. You got to learn these things.
I almost felt like a shoot when that happened. Remember that? Like I feel like Cena just like, you like legitimately suck, dude, and I'm a part-timer.
Well, I can do this better part-time than you can do full-time. That was the quote. And thank you there, Joe. Getting this up. He helped Roman turn into a badass. Paul Heyman is the GOAT. I 100% agree. I think Paul Heyman is such a crucial and an essential part of the creative, and then just the overall talents and how they can feed off his intelligence, his vision to become better at their craft. Man, like Roman is just taking and he's not even wrestling, and I think that's just how amazing of a presence he is now owning when he's on SmackDown. And I just think this is by far the most interesting story WWE has, probably in the last 3 years. Yeah, I might even go that far.
I'd say like right now, the other really interesting story that they've been doing a really good job with is the thing with Cameron Grimes and Ted DiBiase down at NXT, right? They're even talking about bringing back the $1 Million Championship to do something.
Which I think I might have said that on an episode of one of these shows a few weeks back too.
Right, and it's brilliant. And like I said, that and this Roman Reigns deal is definitely the two best things that they've got going. And don't mess it up, guys. Don't mess it up.
Well, in case anybody wanted to talk about titles, and if you don't, I got one right here. And this is leading into a segue with the next segment.
Get it right nice and close into the screen.
Well, I don't like to brag, but I am the Love Wrestling Elite Champion.
Come on now.
I mean, look at the shine. I mean, you can have a cloudy day, but this will shine you right back up. But
the belt does have a huge bird on it. I mean, we should probably wrestle for that at some point.
Well, one, it's a title, Goose, and until you realize the difference between a belt and a title, you cannot challenge for it. That's just a promo. But yeah, speaking of promos, speaking of champions, we go to the Dirty Dogs, the former WWE SmackDown Tag Champions. They basically say that, what happened at WrestleMania Backlash didn't go their way. Rey Mysterio's ferocity really exceeded what they thought. They just didn't expect this out of the Mysterios, and they promise a change tonight. What do you guys think about the Dirty Dogs and what they've kind of done with the SmackDown Tag Team titles and where they stand on SmackDown? Because I believe that they are the most underrated tag team in WWE.
Oh, you go first, Nikos.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I personally think both these guys are like tremendous singles talents. Like Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode, I could see both of them carrying the WWE Championship at some point. Like they're that good. So I mean, I don't know if like throwing them in just like a throwaway tag team is a great idea, but I do like the fact that the Dirty Dogs have evolved themselves beyond just being like a throwaway tag team. Like they dress alike, they're both sporting the same jacket, they got the same colored tights on and stuff now. So I like that they're putting that effort into it. If this is the deal they're going to be dealt.
Yeah, and they actually have identical theme music now. So, like, that's the nice thing. I don't like it when a put-together tag team is using one theme and, like, not the other.
Or like a really poorly made mashup, like the Big Show and
break the walls down.
Like the typical thing that WWE used to do with tag teams kind of a little while ago that always kind of bugged the hell out of me is you get, like, these two single guys, and then they would throw them in a tag team. But then it was all a ploy and all vehicle to proceed further, like a singles kind of story. It's like, you're literally just using tag team wrestling as like a go-between, and just like tag team wrestling should be like a full-on wrestling division, and it's just used something to progress something that's not even related. It always felt really kind of weird, and it's nice to see, like you'd mentioned, Goose, that these guys actually they dress alike. They actually come up to the same music. They have some tag team moves in their repertoire, and it's nice to see for a change.
All right,
what did inspire the name the Dirty Dogs? If either of you guys know, like,
do you know the story on that, Parrish? Because I'm unaware.
I don't. I'm just assuming that that's probably what they call themselves, and it was probably a rib, or maybe it was just something you do backstage, and they're like, you know what, let's just try this on the show, and then it stuck.
We're the biggest boobs in the industry, Double D. Sorry, continue.
Ed hopping in the channel with the saying, "Hey everybody, no volume tonight. Hope Smackdown was good." Ed, I just want to ask, no volume. What do you mean by no volume? Is one of us not no volume, or do you not have volume, or you thought the show was no volume? Can you be a little bit more specific, please?
Yeah, if we're having sound issues, somebody please let us know. Otherwise, we're just up our guns for no reason.
12 and if minutes. It's Joe, you probably didn't hear that. So if anybody has any sound issues, please let us.
Otherwise,
or we're like John Cena, but you can't hear me. I don't know. I feel either way is gimmick infringement, brother.
I'm not sure how that would work. But, what do we get next?
I was going to ask a question because I thought this was by no coincidence, but we know Jason Jordan is now working behind the scenes in the creative. Why do we have an echo? Goose, can you?
I have no idea.
Oh no, I was just checking. We do have sound on Twitch.
Oh, okay. So. Yeah.
Yes.
Just gotta watch so we don't loop through back. Otherwise, it'll guess really loud.
Yeah. I wanted to ask because it's no coincidence that Jason Jordan now working backstage in the creative thing, and ever since he kind of took control, we've seen more emphasis on either Raw's or SmackDown's tag team division, and I'm wondering if by chance he is the one that's a little bit more responsible for the added. Yeah. Give a what factor to the tag team division. What do you guys think of that?
I'm gonna go on that first because I'm gonna approach this from an angle that I think a lot of people maybe aren't kind of thinking. Is it possible that this is literally just a storyline thing with him being somebody backstage? Because he's a wrestler. He doesn't have any production television kind of experience at all. That's why when I heard that this was kind of being a thing, I was really kind of scratching my head. I'm like, this dude's just a pure wrestler. I'm not sure why he's being put into this role. And that's why I'm thinking maybe it's just a character thing that they're going with.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Goose, your opinions on this quickly before we go to the next matchup here.
This is Kurt Angle's son we're talking about.
Yeah, well, that's a fake storyline. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not overly familiar with his background or anything.
Yeah.
I do. If I recall correctly, he sustained a pretty gnarly injury at some point.
No.
Probably why he's not on TV. Yeah. And it's not above Vince McMahon to give injured wrestlers production spots on the show. One of the guys that is a huge influence around here in Alberta, TJ. Is definitely
Wilson,
he broke his TJ Wilson Tyson he broke his neck and was put in a position to be a producer and stuff backstage, and he produces some of the best stuff in WWE.
He's been there for years and years and years too, right? Jordan's hasn't been around for all that long, right? So I'm that's why I'm thinking, I'm wondering if this is maybe something that's gonna come forward in more of a character capacity as opposed to him being a legitimate producer. Like I said, it felt like a really weird lateral move when I heard about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to pose a question because it is something that I thought the timing just seemed a little bit too convenient. So this is something to ask. But speaking of tag team wrestling, we're going to the women's tag team scene where Natalya and Tamina took on the Riot Squad, which I was actually very refreshed just to see the Riot Squad in an opportunity for the tag team titles, or at least against the champs. I think finally you put these titles on the right people in Natalya and Tamina, a team that could actually help elevate these titles to kind of a place where, Shayna and Nia, with what they were doing, they weren't really doing a job good enough for that. So What did you guys think of this matchup? Because I thought the Riot Squad actually shined a little bit, simply because we already know how good Tamina and Natalia are. What were your guys' thoughts? And should the Riot Squad get maybe an additional look here?
Well, I thought that earlier on that the move would have been to put the titles on the Riot Squad. Then I think they're a really underrated team. I think especially Ruby Riot is somebody that a lot of people sleep on. I mean, she has a unique look and she's extremely underrated in that ring. I mean, she's actually been around wrestling for quite a number of years and is probably even more experienced than some of these other girls. I've seen quite a bit, and it's good to see her because, like I said, she's entertaining as hell to watch, and I think people need to start paying attention to, especially her specifically, because she's very, very good, and I hope that she gets more opportunities because it is very well earned.
Yeah, Goose, what did you think about the match?
I like the match. I agree with the Mighty One that Ruby Riot is sort of an underutilized talent somewhat. Yeah. It did strike me during the match. Like, I mean, Natty has, everybody's fully aware of Natty's history and Tamina's history. And then, even Ruby Riot was, I think, Heidi Loveless on the Independence. But I was like, where did Liv come from? Where did she?
Pretty much an entirely homegrown product in WWE. Like they groomed her right from the beginning to now. So,
she's holding her own and she's doing really great. So, like, I'm very impressed with her. And and I thought the Riot Squad, they did their I'm not trying to insult them, but they did their job tonight, and it was really good.
Yeah, I was gonna say with just the experience factor, Liv Morgan stood in a position to benefit a lot from this because Natalia is a future Hall of Famer. I think Tamina is slowly putting herself in that category as well. And then you have Ruby Riot, who, like you said, Joe, has all this experience from the independent scene into the WWE now. And then you got Liv Morgan, who is, and it's just a factual thing, the most inexperienced one out of the four, but doesn't show that in her work now. And I'm seeing a new level of confidence with her to the point where this is a tag team that I think people don't want to sleep on or forget about, because I think these two, I mean, when I found out when the Iconics were both released, and a lot of people were up in arms about that, as they should. Those are two incredibly talented females that got let go for absolutely no reason, in my opinion. But the two that stood to benefit the most from these spots were, I believe, Ruby Riot and Liv Morgan. And I think the more that you actually get a chance to see WWE invest in just their progression, I think they stand to benefit so much more from it. But that is just my opinion. So
if anything, like it's you had mentioned with Natalia, and I don't want to necessarily throw shade on her, but you had mentioned like Hall of Fame worthy career. But I mean, when you look at the actual championships and stuff like that, it's and again, nothing really against her, but I think a lot of the other girls have kind of surpassed her, and sometimes Natty looks a little rusty in that ring. It's like like I said, I don't want to go down this path too much because I've always been a Natalia fan, but it definitely feels like we're kind of like on the we were on the plateau or on the downturn for her in when it comes to wrestling in this company. I mean, just it's. Like I said, I love Natalia. Don't get me wrong, but like it's. I think the other girls have surpassed her now.
Yeah, there's no doubt that in my mind, when I'm going to rank these women, like Natalia is not going to be up there. Accomplishments alone for title runs, they might not be as high as the other girls, but her contributions to the industry, especially WWE, with her tenure there, I don't want to get into a debate between her and perhaps the Bellas, but I'm going to say like when she's responsible for the evolution of the growth of the Ronda Rouseys, the Lana's currently, Carmella's, even the Bailey's, helping groom all these ladies along. Just staples what she has done, not only for wrestling, but for the WWE. So I think it goes past beyond what she's accomplished in the ring. Because her work is being shown through the Charlottes, the Four Horsewomen, all the ones now. But moving on that, we go to the current WWE SmackDown Women's Champion. Bianca Belair against Carmella, and I thought this was a very interesting match. But it also made me wonder why this match until I saw Bayley join commentary. What did you guys think about the match, and where do you think this is going moving forward?
I'll let you go with this, Goose, because I'm still wondering that question myself.
I like this match. I thought Carmella, she did like a promo right before the match. She was putting on her makeup, and I was like, "Oh, that's like a super like just like sort of like." And I don't want to insult anyone,
snotty,
here, but like,
can we say snotty?
Yeah, I was gonna say bimbo like type move, but I don't want to be rude.
Diva-esque. Let's go Diva-esque.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then, but I thought she was fantastic because, like, just like snotty is absolutely the perfect word. Like her promo, like he was just all about her, and she's putting on her makeup, and then she came out to the ring. Her music, I'm not like, it sounds like some sort of like Kill Bill thing or something. I liked her old music better. But her presentation was fine. Bianca Belair was still killing it. Like, she did that thing where she was lifted her up and hoisted her into the ring. I thought that was fantastic. Bayley killed it on commentary. I absolutely loved Bayley's performance in this, and I'm just stoked to watch Bayley and Bianca fight again, because that's going to be great.
Yeah. Well, I'm still gonna stand, because I have to stay on brand with myself on this. I have to make sure. I still, guys, I'm still not a fan of Bayley as a heel. They need to make her a good guy again. So I mean, especially once the fans come back, they could make a mint. They can make so much. I had to censor myself because we don't want to give too many Fs, but they could make so much freaking money with her as a baby face with merchandise. I just hope that they make the move sooner than later, because I mean, that's just leaving money on the table, man.
Well, I was gonna say, sorry to cut you off, Goose, but I was gonna say, when I saw Carmella in this thing, a lot of me was wondering if they would pull the plug on perhaps putting Carmella and Bayley together. We know the history with them, whether or not we watched like stuff from NXT where they did a lot of stuff there. We know that they are real life best friends. They're really close. Bay Mello is something that was their nickname. And I'm like, you know what? This could finally work now up on like the Raw Smackdown scene. And it's funny because you wanted to not drop an F word, which we appreciate. And then I was like, man, if Bayley's money, Carmella's fabulous. I mean, there's a legend there that
there's an F word. Yeah.
That, I mean, you could call them Fabulous Moolah if you really wanted to. But the name, it was so good, right? But I mean, with that being said, Goose, I know you were going to say something.
I think that might be a sponsorship issue.
Fabulous Moolah, that might be a worse F word to say than the actual F word.
Well, I mean, we're not going to get censored by saying Fabulous Moolah. But Goose, you were going to make a point, and I'll let you make that point before we go move on.
My point was that the thing I think about what Mighty Joe said about Bayley being a face is, I will agree that I liked Bayley while I was watching this. That is a good point. Like, I was right into her. I was like, right on, Bayley. Like, way to, like, you know what you're doing, and you're not just this meek girl anymore. You're like out there with some confidence, and I really appreciate that. So seeing her turn babyface again would not upset me at all.
Goose, you brought up a good point on the confidence. The one thing I learned a lot by when I started my career as a good guy, I went to a bad guy, and then I transitioned back to a good guy, is I found so much more confidence that I found working as a good guy a lot less stressful, because you're trying to do a lot less to make everyone happy and just be more organic and be more natural, which I found that you can actually do as a heel. And you just got to know that point of when to go from that 7 and not go all the way up or all the way down. You just know how to keep the right volume button, so to speak. I had to say that because, Goose, you just triggered the confidence thing, and I'm like, oof, that was a big one. So that nicely split. But speaking of confidence, we go to someone who shows a lot of confidence, whether it's on the mic, in the ring, or the way he dresses. I am talking about the king of drip, Seth Rollins, which, by the way, when we talk about everything, his new music, I'm enjoying it, man. I like the alteration of the Burn It Down. Part of me kind of wants him to not use Burn It Down as a heel. But my God, that suit was just nice. And I'm not even a fashion guy, even though I am rocking the Metallica. I'm not much of a fashion guru. But Seth Rollins, man, just cut, like, when we talk about promos, that guy, when he wants, he can cut a good promo.
I believe that the term you were searching for is a fashion faux pas, which I think is what he's doing there.
It's a Von Sway look. I don't think anybody expected me to say Von Sway.
I'm waiting for him to break out like the Sonny Crockett look from Miami Vice eventually at some point. It's like just go like full like 80s. That would I would pop pretty large for that being an 80s kid. So
especially if he has a suit with like the 3/4 arm length. Yeah, that'd be killer.
Absolutely.
Remind me at the end when we do our plugs about Seth Rollins in suit. Okay. I thought that Seth's promo here was pretty good. The way they showed the video footage, and then he went to like some like goofy audio footage and stuff. I thought that was pretty decent. Yeah. I like the fact that he comes across as like unhinged and kind of nuts now. And I'm kind of wondering, like we've been talking about tag teams all night. When Cesaro came out and did that stuff, he was like, Cesaro was looking for a match against Roman. So I'm wondering if maybe we might see Roman and Seth team up again, and everything leads back to the Shield, and then maybe we see the Usos go babyface and Roman and Seth take on the Usos. But that might be something that's down the line. So
I don't know.
It's going to be hard to do Shield if you don't have Ambrose.
Yeah, even without Ambrose, I think it's been done. The reunion.
I don't necessarily mean Shield. I just mean Roman and Seth.
Yeah.
I can see them get it. I can see everything.
A tease, if you will.
Yeah. But to go full on Shield, like I said, I really agree with Eric. I think you would need Ambrose, but I mean, just we've seen so many different reiterations of it, and just it just doesn't come off great unless like you've got the actual original trio. It's the only one that works.
Yeah, the one point I wanted to make about this promo, and I think you don't see this done well enough in wrestling, especially in WWE, but we all know Cesaro is not at SmackDown today. But because of that one promo, I believe that he got more sympathy than an actual appearance based on what Seth Rollins said and how he delivered it. That's credit to Seth Rollins. That's credit to how much of a star Cesaro is becoming, to the point where if the fans want him that much more now, it's because they appreciate him that much when he is there. This is a feud that I know, as much as you want to see Cesaro against Roman Reigns, it's just a shame to end Seth Rollins Cesaro right now when I believe it is just starting to get red hot.
And what's really good too is you guys had mentioned it, and Seth's really good at it, because I mean, to peel the curtain back a little bit, I mean the number one goal of the heel is to put on as much to give as much sympathy to the babyface as you possibly can, and if you accomplish that to this level, you've done your job properly. And Seth is doing that. He's putting so much sympathy on Cesaro, and not to discredit what Cesaro is doing, but this is also helping the case too. So it's win-win on both sides.
Yeah, and Cesaro comes across natural when he's doing his promo. It doesn't strike me as the sort of thing where he, like a lot of guys, you can tell, they've been memorizing this all afternoon. With Seth, it seems like, I don't know, maybe they're giving him leeway and they're saying, here's kind of what we're looking for, and then he reads it over and then does his own thing.
I would hope so, yeah.
Because that's refreshing to me on WWE programming.
Yeah.
I might be a minority here, but I do believe that when it comes to WWE, even right now, there is a select amount of people that they're still going to be given a little bit of bullet points and be like, if you want to mention this, go ahead, but we trust you. We know you'll get the job done. Whereas more people are maybe more micromanaged with what they say, how they say it, when to say it. But I do think that there's select few that that just have the trust where they're like, you know what, here, if you can hit this, wonderful. But yeah, we know you're going to do it.
And that speaks a lot too. I mean, like especially look at who we're talking. We're talking about Seth Rollins. We're talking about Cesaro or Claudio from his Ring of Honor days. These guys, they have a previous pedigree, and those guys, when it comes to promos, are at their best when they can just improvise around like a loose topic that they're kind of given, as opposed to being like rigidly scripted. These guys are not actors. That's not what they're good at, right? So allowing them to kind of operate in the way that they're used to operating and did for a long time only benefits them and can benefit the character, and they're in benefit WWE as well. Just let these guys operate the way that they know how to best, and it works.
Benefits me because I find it I find it entertaining to watch as opposed to going like,
just reading off
okay,
the
this
cards,
is pretty
right?
badly done, like, you know, high school theater level drama, you know.
Yeah, just let them be professional wrestlers. Just they improvise. That's what they do best.
Yeah, exactly. And that is why they are in the WWE. Let's be honest. Like, they wouldn't get there if they sucked at their job.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing. But with that being said, speaking of someone who's really good at their job and someone who's starting to become, you know, a future star at their job, we also had a Mysterio promo talking about Rey and Dominic Mysterio, talking about what it's been like being the first father-son tag team champions. And they say basically, Rey said to mention that, you know, it pains him to see his son getting hurt because when his son hurts, he's hurting. And I thought this was actually Dominic's best promo so far because he said the same thing. And he said it was more euphoric when they won the tag team titles, and how man, this kid is growing up quick. I'm going to say that. Yes, there's still a long ways to go, but man, this kid is getting it. And when you're in the ring with the Robert Roods, the Dolph Zigglers, you're going to be getting those. You're going to be getting a good match. But your father's Rey Mysterio, probably the greatest luchador, greatest high flyer ever. You're going to learn a lot about how to work with your opponents. So go right ahead, Joe.
I'm loving what they're doing, but a huge but here in the back of my mind. I don't want to be the pessimistic guy in the group here, but in the back of my mind, I'm worried that the typical WWE thing is going to happen here, and maybe you guys can figure out where I'm going with this. My number one fear is that they have Dominic actually turn on his dad at some point. Like I can see it coming.
I can too. And before it goes, I'll say this, but if Rey Mysterio wants to retire and he wants to do it by putting his son over in this faucet,
but do it but why does it always have to be somebody to turn on the other person? Why can't it just be like father versus son and they're both good guys still? It just the WWE thing is somebody always has to turn on the other person, and it doesn't always have to be that way.
I agree, but I do think that there are cases where this is applicable, and this could be one, depending on how they tell it. It's all about execution. Goose, I'm going to throw it to you to get the final word, as Spencer would say. Oh, God. I need a drink. Goose, go right ahead.
100%. I do, I hate to say it, but Dominic's promo did kind of strike me as a more micromanaged type thing, just because by his delivery.
Yeah.
But I will say that he has improved greatly. I may have mentioned it before, but Dominic trained at Lance Storm's wrestling school, and he actually came to a couple of the shows that for the promotion I work at, and I got to meet him. And yeah, he was kind of a big boy at that time, pretty chubby guy and whatnot. So the fact that he's put in this work and was the main event on Smackdown tonight is all the power to him. Again, he's working with Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode, who are both, decades of experience between the two of them.
Yeah.
He's not going to have a bad match unless he's absolutely terrible. And I don't think he is terrible at all. As far as Dominic and Rey turning on each other and having a feud with one another, I'm in for it, man. It's going to happen. It's a WWE thing, but there's some gold to be mined there. Rey Mysterio, like 20 years ago at SummerSlam was so like flippant with the custody of his child that he'd put it up in the ladder match. Maybe Dominic's hot about that and is like, you're not a great dad. Like there's some gold to be mined there.
That'd be quite something to fall back on. Wow.
Yeah. But even like for tonight, like when Ray was taken out, it didn't strike me as something Dominic did. That wasn't something that occurred to me, but it also was like, okay, well, clearly Rude and Ziggler are in the ring, so it wasn't them either. So who did take out Ray? It was somebody teaming up with Dom or with Rude and Ziggler, or maybe it is somebody that's going to like put these ideas into Dominic's head that, hey, your dad's not such a great guy. Maybe you should look at it from a different point of view,
Here's how we can do this to kind of win me over. Okay, now this would require some technological stuff, but they do a lot of kind of hologram entrance kind of stuff in WWE. Anyways, if you could incorporate like a hologram version of Eddie Guerrero into this, and then play off of that,
make sure you do that one right.
You'd win me over, man. To bring that back and play off that old angle, that would be.
Would you be able to bring in Chavo at all during this thing?
I'm not sure what
Uncle Chavo.
I'm not sure what his availability would be for that, but that would I would pop pretty large to see like a hologram version of Eddie involved in that somehow.
Well, speaking of one Ed to another, Ed Fries, Freezy Fries, like I like to call you. My Twitch isn't working well, and I'm playing board games. Wanted to stop by and say hello. Hope Smackdown was fun, and we'll watch on replay later tonight. Have a great weekend, gentlemen. Ed, we always appreciate you no matter how much time you'd like to give us. We just want to thank you and congrats on the Quizplex and congrats on winning the mug on Battle or Between Two Beers a couple weeks ago. Beards, not beers, because I make sure that I take my beers down.
Maybe that's another show.
What you just said about Chavo Guerrero put the idea in my head. Maybe full on Dominic embraces his heritage as a Guerrero. And said and like, relinquishes the Mysterio name and says, "I'm Dominic Guerrero now, baby." Like, who's your poppy? Like that. I think there's some gold to be mined there for sure.
That'd be something.
Now, how is Dominic going to be able to get those custom lowriders if he's not old enough to actually rent a car yet? I don't know.
How old is he? I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. It's a kid joke, and well,
oh, okay.
Dolph already said. Dolph already brought out child abuse on this show, which we'll get to in a bit.
Get a hold of Psychosis. You might be able to help him out with that.
And
he can bring a Psychosis back too, which would be pretty freaking cool.
Going from one episode where we don't know who the father is to a man where is a great father, and that is Kevin Owens, and he goes up against Apollo Crews for the Intercontinental Championship. Not a long match, a very quick match here. He gets the stunner, goes for the pin as he is, boom, Nigerian nail. Is that what they're calling it? Yeah. I almost said something I probably shouldn't have said by accident.
Okay, you caught yourself. Well done.
I did. Diving catch. Got the game saved. But then what I thought was really interesting is how much he sold it afterwards. Which kind of led to him asking for Apollo next week on SmackDown for the title with no Aziz. Adam Pearce grants him that request. So next week we do have an Intercontinental title match between Apollo and Kevin Owens because WWE needs to have a rematch once in a while.
All the time.
But no Aziz at ringside, so that's going to be an interesting match. What do you guys think about the direction they're going with Kevin Owens and Apollo Crews? Because it looks like Big E is being taken out of that Intercontinental Championship title match scene with Aleister Black, who
he wasn't even on the show tonight.
No, honestly, not a terrible thing because next week I could see them getting some time. They got a lot going on SmackDown, so you don't have to convolute us. If you don't have to. But what did you guys think about this match? What did you guys think about the segment, where it's leading to next week? What are your predictions about that? And what were your thoughts about what we saw tonight?
For me, There was, I think there's such a thing as kind of overselling things sometimes. I know that this is really peeling the curtain back a little bit, but I mean, I think Dominic has really learned how to do it very, very well. He saws his ass off, but it's not to like, we're not getting to, dare I say, like
Ziggler-esque.
Like when Papa Shango put Ultimate Warrior under voodoo, and then like he started like spewing up like crap like that. There's such a thing as like overselling going too far with something like that. And with Kevin, like we're getting a little close. It's like I get it, but like back off a little bit, bro. But don't get me wrong, I love Kevin Owens, but sometimes we need to dial the stuff back a little bit, otherwise it gets a little cartoony. So, but other than that, well done.
Yeah, Goose, your thoughts on the matchup we saw and your thoughts on the matchup coming next week.
Yeah, like I think the match was more so just like an angle because it was so quick. Yeah. But I agree with the Mighty One that the Aziz like thumbing him in the throat was kind of oversold just because. No offense to Aziz, but like I couldn't even really tell what happened. Like it just kind of looked like he chopped him in the chest or whatever, and then Kevin Steen sold it like death. Yeah. And I don't know, maybe I would have liked to have seen like Aziz grab Kevin Owens, pull him out of the ring, and then do it to him. Like that might have put more of a highlight on it, but. It was what it was, and it wasn't horrible. It was fine. I mean, it was designed to make me hyped up for a match next week, and I certainly am because the action that we did see was pretty fast and furious, and the match last week was spectacular. So the more I get to see of any of those combination of those five guys in the ring, I'm happy to watch.
At some point too, just before you go continue their prayers, at some point, like with that Aziz, like you need to like get past like just being a one-trick pony, like mixed up with some other stuff instead of just like thumbing the guy in the throat like every single time. Like we gotta do a little bit more, right? Especially if they want to progress this guy to be more of an in-ring guy. I mean, you gotta do more than one thing.
Yeah, and like here's kind of where I was kind of coming with, and I wanted to kind of leave with this. We saw Kevin Owens sell this for quite a long time.
Yeah,
but then he was actually able to speak out a sentence, and it's like Apollo, Intercontinental, like just so much words. If you're having issues with your throat, just just bullet points like Apollo title next week. Fuck you, Aziz.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, but like just Apollo title next week. No, like I don't know, like something, right? Like
just have like write down like on a whiteboard and just like there, yeah.
Yeah, just hand him a note.
You're gonna cough a lot tonight, Kevin pal. Here, take a big rip off this bong before your promo.
But then we're gonna give you a mouthful of words like Apollo Intercontinental Championship, which he actually said next week on SmackDown. Aziz not at ringside. Like I don't know. Like it just seemed like if I was gonna get my trachea damaged anyway, I don't think I'm gonna be like, dear diary, tonight I had alphabets for breakfast, and then I had alpha or ABCs for lunch with extra tomato sauce. Like I don't know, like
words.
Yeah.
Talk.
And then just for giggles, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Like I don't understand. I just wanted to say that word on one of these shows, by the way.
One of the girls of Mary Poppins gimmick. That'd be dope.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
She comes from the ceiling with an umbrella, lowered down.
I can see it. No.
Oh dear God, why is that song stuck in my head?
Right now,
damn it, Goose.
Yeah, it's an earworm. That one.
Anyway, we go back to Jey Uso and Roman with another promo, or another backstage segment here where Roman kind of questions Jey a little bit. He's like, you said you're with me, but now you got a title match next week. What's going on here? It's like, I'm doing all this for you. I wanted you to be bigger than what you were. I want like your main event, Jey Uso now. When you listen to me, you're closing SmackDown. And then when you listen to your brother, you're relegating yourself to the opening match. It's like, I want to put you in a place where people are no longer saying, which one are you again? I thought this was an amazing segment on Roman's end. If there was any way of making you now second guess why Jay is conflicted, I thought Roman had a very valid argument here. And even Jay himself said, he's like, you know what, I never thought of it that way. And then Roman's like, well, maybe you should. And I just thought, like, it was just so simple and so like just perfectly executed. It's amazing what happens when things are executed perfectly and how much better things are. I thought this was absolutely just gold. Makes me more interested now in the matchup next week. Before we go to the second, or I guess the semi-main event of Smackdown, what did you guys think about this segment? Do you guys have now, with this being said, a new perspective on where you think the Usos tag title match next week is going to go?
Well, I think that this segment it's kind of planting little seeds of like dissension kind of going on. I think that's what Roman's trying to do there potentially, and and like you said, making hint at mixing the two guys up. I've done that since day one, and I still do it now. Even during this episode, I'm like, hey,
you mean you've been mixing them up since day one?
Yeah, since day one-ish.
Day one-ish.
Yeah, I totally, that was unintentional. And and even now during this episode, it's like Jimmy, which one's which? I still get them mixed up. So for Roman to play on that, well done. Well done.
Have we actually established who Roman is going to face at Hell in the Cell?
He does not have an opponent yet.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can see the Usos going in next week and losing the match, and then we get like maybe a 3-way match between Roman and the Usos, or just a 1-on-1 between Roman and the fellow that just returned, Jimmy, I think, right?
Yeah.
Roman had a good point. There's a lot of times I can't tell the difference between Jimmy and Jay, know, and I mean I like the way he put that, because I was like, that's a good point. Like,
it was well done.
Yeah.
Here's a question for you. If they were to lose next week and Roman is to go up against Jimmy at Hell in a Cell, and Jay is a special guest referee, only for Roman to find out whose side are you on, I think this would be a very, very key matchup. Plus, it's a little ironic now that whether it's inside of Hell in a Cell, especially, if Roman's last time he was in Hell in a Cell fought Jay, and now he's against Jimmy, that'd be very interesting and poetic, in my opinion.
It sounds like you need to be booking some WWE shows there, Parrish. I like that one.
You could do some crazy.
Well, I would definitely gladly take the job. So if anyone over at World Wrestling Entertainment
if you guys take our story, we want credit for it, please.
And if you don't know where you can find us, well, you know what? I can actually help you out on that one. You can actually find us.
There we go.
Twitch.tv/Love Wrestling CA, or Love Wrestling CA on the YouTube. But let's just throw up the ticker. Yeah. Let's just do that for everyone. Vince, if you're watching, there you go. Everything you need is right down below. I mean, I can use a bigger book than this. I got lots of ideas. Joe, thank you for the plug. But speaking of which, this kind of takes us to someone who maybe should need a better idea than just stealing the crown of someone. But we go to Shinsuke Nakamura, who gets played out by Rick Boogs. That is the name he is going by on SmackDown. Rick Boogs, who very talented on the electric guitar, by the way. I mean, definitely interesting in I'd be interested to hear some of his riffs. Maybe he needs his own album now.
It's interesting that they shortened the last name. It's not like Hoffen sauce, whatever it was. I'm wondering like if they just like simplified the last name, right? Yeah, I gotta think maybe they just shortened the last name just so like commentary doesn't mess it up on occasion. Because I mean, Cole does that quite often. And it's like, yeah, let's just make it Boogs, and if you can't get Boogs right, we're just gonna fire you.
Cole got Bianca Belair, and I forget which was it Street Fighter, kind of mixed up because he called her Bianca, and then even Bailey's like, her name is Bianca Belair, you moron. And I think those are the little things that why I do like Bailey as a heel, just keeps on trashing Cole, which is just hilarious to me. But yeah, like I thought this was it's very interesting that we have Rick Boogs now aligned with Shinsuke Nakamura, playing him. It really is. Yeah. But at the same time, I said the same thing with Sami Zayn and Nakamura. So yeah, we got this. He's taken on Chad Gable with Otis in his corner, and I thought this was speaking of interesting pairs. This was one too. What I want to see. I want to see the Nakamuras against the Gables. These are guys I want to see more of. I thought these guys gelled very well in the ring. And I thought this was for what we got in time-wise, they put in a lot. They gave us a lot, but they didn't give us too much. And I enjoyed that much. I thought it was just a refreshing little mini match on SmackDown. We saw Baron Corbin kind of come in, grab his crown. This led to Nakamura getting the win when Gable went for his corner roll German. Nakamura reversed that into a 2 kick out Kinshasa 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
And then we see Corbin kind of taunting him with his crown back, and then Boogs from behind. Just a big stiff forearm.
Yeah.
Corbin rolls in. Nakamura just picks it back up and then dances like Shinsuke dances with the crown. And that was that. What did you guys think about this? And where are we going with this crown, man? What is this leading to? Because I'm hoping we see a King of the Ring. If not, I think I'm disappointed.
It's got to be King of the Ring. I mean, it's got to involve like Corbin, Nakamura, Boogs, Otis, and all that, and Gable. I think all these guys will kind of be involved in this. Hopefully, one night King of the Ring version. That's honestly, it's the better version, the better way to do it. That's up for debate, I guess. But
do it more special. Can't do that special.
The only one I like what they've been doing with this whole program with everybody kind of involved. For me, the only one that doesn't hit the mark, so to speak, with shout out to my friends over at the Hitting the Marks podcast network. A little shameless plug for another platform that I'm on. Is that Otis? I don't necessarily buy him as a bad guy. I very much prefer my Otis to be the lovable kind of fool, kind of aloof kind of character. That's the Otis I like. I think
who gets Mandy Rose.
Right. I mean, that was over.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And it feels like every time, like when these people kind of like organically and just naturally kind of get themselves over in that role, it's like we got to flip the switch on them. It's just like he's another one of these guys, like as that lovable idiot kind of baby face, you can like literally be printing money with his face on it. And like, especially like once fans come back, he's another one of these guys, like you could just be making money hand over fist. You have him doing the Caterpillar. That's all crowd pleaser stuff, man. And you can't do that if you're a bad guy. You can't be doing like that whatever that is, that move that he does, right? You can't do it as a bad guy because the psychology doesn't work, right? So, we'll see. I mean, I still trust that he can do some cool stuff, but I just think that just naturally, Otis doesn't make for a good bad guy.
Yeah. Goose?
But that's my opinion. Gable's believable as a bad guy, though. Well, I'll give him that.
I think Otis is big enough that if you put him, like if you make him a killer, he could be a killer. Yeah,
you have to completely change the look and the gimmick, though. You have to completely change it up.
You have to definitely completely you can't be doing that goofy worm thing. That's for sure. I mean, his look is fine. It's not a big deal, but like I could believe he could become some sort of like just vile, like crazy hillbilly killer. Like that would work. But why? Because he's already proven he could be massively over as like a baby face. So why is he now Chad Gable's lackey who, no offense, but I think that the heights that Otis achieved were far greater than anything that Chad Gable did. I mean, Chad Gable's a former tag champ, which sure, but you know, Otis was over, and he's not going to be over in this role that you put him in. I thought the match was really good. I think that Boogs, his guitar playing, you can tell, is a little rough and on the edge. It's not anywhere near as good as when they had that woman that played the guitar, or the fellow
Anita Strauss, the professional.
Yeah, 100%.
Just makes her living off what that. I hope to God the pro wrestler can't play it.
But I do like that they're just letting him kind of do it and not like faking, and not like having him like playing air guitar. And actually, it's more believable the way that they're doing it, because it does sound very raw, and he does mess up occasionally. I appreciate that, because, like I said, having just somebody just like doing like to make a New Japan Pro reference, when they get Tai Chi, they literally have a guy that his entrance is comes out singing to his entrance music, but you can tell like he's supposed to be lip syncing, but he doesn't even move his mouth. So it looks really kind of phony. It's like, dude, if you're gonna do a lip sync gimmick, you got to move your lips a little bit. So I do like that with Boogs. They just let him kind of play, and they're not like going too production heavy on it. So
I have not seen Boogs in the ring, but he strikes me as kind of like Mojo Rawley with a guitar.
He's better. Yeah. He's better in the ring than Mojo.
He's like Mojo Rawley, but entertaining and talented.
There you go. That's what I meant to say.
I mean, I thought Mojo Rawley was entertaining, but like I say, I can't speak to this guy's ring work, but his personality and his promo
insanely was really over in NXT. Yeah. And I'm like, you have to do something with this guy, and they just didn't, and I don't know why. But I mean, talk about a guy that just takes the crowd into a different like place. Like, this guy has that factor of taking an audience and getting them out of their seat at will.
If they really are going to go to Vegas for SummerSlam, to the arena that they're rumored to, like, they need to make like use of him there, because like you had mentioned, Paris, like with the crowd, like they really dig this guy. I mean, you use him to his full potential. I mean, they'll just be losing their shit, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. The one thing I just don't understand here, and this is kind of it, I just don't see the payoff. Even if it's King of the Ring, I still don't think this finishes Corbin and Nakamura. And that's kind of where my thing goes.
Yeah.
So I believe they're kind of, unless they face in the finals and it's Nakamura beating Corbin, establishing it, and then fully taking the title away from him of being king, then I can understand it. But then it almost seems too SmackDown heavy, and we're forgetting the Raw side. And that's only if it's supposed to be brand, like dual brands. And if not, then we're wondering why it's only SmackDown. So I can see an argument for either way they go here. And I just don't know. But I mean, at the same time, this at least gives Nakamura something to be invested in. And I don't think Baron Corbin is the wrong guy. I think that guy is greatly underappreciated as well. So with that, we go into, I mean, they had this is kind of where the Owens thing was, but now we go into the Mysterios getting ready. Ray gets taken out, and we see Dominic pretty much say, he stood up for me last time. I'm standing up tonight. As the Dirty Dogs make their way in the ring, they wanted the count out. They wanted a forfeit. And then Dominic comes out to raise Mysterio's music. Same Titantron, just with his name. Same kind of the colors, those flashes. Yeah, but you can also tell that it was the first time. Like, they just took the colors and they put his name on it.
Yeah.
But I thought that was really telling that he's becoming more like Ray, when the rumors are that he could be coming just like his dad, putting the mask on, I noticed his gear was very Rey Mysterio-esque, and then it was kind of mixed with his chest pad that he had, that top that he had. Yeah. But I thought we're seeing more and more likeliness of Dominic converting more into Rey Mysterio as the weeks go on. So I'm very curious on that. What I loved was Dolph Ziggler when Dominic came out saying, "Really? You're going to let a kid do this? This is child abuse." I lost it when he said that. Good. Just because you don't hear these kind of things on WWE anymore. Yeah. And it wasn't malicious. It wasn't taken out of context. Nor I hope it wasn't. I thought it was just funny because he wanted the easy way out. He wanted the titles based on forfeit. And then he's just assuming that he's going to have to abuse who's not a child, but a guy that resembles childlike features into the business.
I'm sure there's probably some internet wrestling fans that'll find some way to spin that into being offended. Fine, whatever. I thought it was so, like I mentioned before, Dominic is so good. Like Goose had mentioned, getting to work with guys like Bobby. I still call him Bobby Red. I don't care what he does. And Dolph Ziggler. I mean, he's just learning from some really, really good guys. And like I said, Dominic does such a good job just selling his ass off for these guys and really making that convincing. And Dominic's really, really, paying his dues and really kind of learning the ins and the outs here. It's awesome. And I thought the match itself was great. I thought that the way that things kind of ended off was a little awkward. Just the way that, like when Ray came out for like the distraction, but it felt like the end happened very abruptly, and then it was like almost like they almost kind of jumped their cue to come out, and it was like the Usos came out like right directly after. Like it felt like it should have been like there should have been like a few seconds delay there first before the Usos came out to do the thing, but it's like it flowed right into that when it felt really abrupt there. That's like I said, that was the only kind of off part about this main event, that the way that ending happened, like it felt a little awkward. Like the direction was right, but just it didn't. The timing of it was mistimed a little bit.
This is one of the reasons why I think that the Usos are going to lose next week too, is just because they are building a storyline around Ray and Dominic, and with the Dirty Dogs. So like I don't see a lot of value in just hoofing all that for the sake of highlighting the Usos and Roman. But like then again, they could go ahead with the Ray and Dominic feud storyline too. So,
what would be really interesting too is that again, Parrish had hinted at it, and I think it would be really cool, where he just kind of just slowly morphs into just becoming that Rey Mysterio Jr. persona just over time. Once his dad decides to, kind of drift away from the business, which I mean, I won't say do, because I mean, Ray's been around the business for so long and he could probably still go longer if he wants. But I mean, to see Dominic kind of evolve into essentially his dad's character, I think would be really interesting.
Yeah, one thing I also wanted to point out, and this is something because I definitely pick up on a lot of these little stigmas.
Yeah.
When Dolph was complaining about Dominic coming out, he's like, "Well, we're going to go up against Rey Mysterio Jr." And then it's just one of those little things too that he says that you're just like, you're hearing these rumors that, is this the direction they're going to go? Even Dominic has touched on the fact that, there's been talks that he would just take over the Rey Mysterio thing. And then we have Rey Mysterio Jr. thrown at us. Whether or not this is just a shot at the internet, because WWE does do this occasionally, or it's one of those what we call in the movie thing, like those Easter eggs where we could actually see in like a little bit of a foreshadow. I like that either way, whether or not they're trolling the internet community, which I'm always a fan of. I think the internet community brings this on themselves. But with that being said,
did you hear what Parrish thinks of you, loyal viewers?
No,
throw shade in my way, fine. But well, we all know you're watching porn just like everyone. All right, so come on. But with that,
what's interesting with it though, Parrish, I mean, this is like right on the level of like for like masked characters. The only other right now that I can think off the top of my head for like legendary masked wrestlers would be like Jushin Thunder Liger, like, and he retired recently, and like the way things were kind of go over there in New Japan, I thought somebody like Shuta Umino or something like that would have like taken on that kind of persona, and then that didn't happen. I mean, it could still potentially happen, but I mean, over here, like Ray is kind of like he's like one of those iconic masked wrestler characters, and like I said, I think that what you had hinted at there of Dominic slowly kind of evolving essentially into his dad's character, I think could be really, really interesting and to see kind of gradually happen over time and then just to become, Rey Mysterio Jr.
I have an idea, and I think this is another reason why I might be able to deserve the book. We have a match between Ray and Dominic in the future. Nobody turns. So, Joe, keep them unknotted. But it's more Ray is the one that loses the tag team championships and he feels bad for his child, right? And he's feeling all this guilt. We've seen all these retirement teasers from Ray over the years. And he really says, you know what? I think this is the end for me. To the point where Dominic's saying, no, it's not. I know you still have it in you. Maybe he challenges his dad to a match where if Dominic is to win this match, he then gets the mask of Rey Mysterio.
Yes.
And Ray's final match is the first time under WWE he is unmasked, but he's passing the torch, which is his mask, to his son.
That is a WrestleMania moment, my friend. Mm-hmm. That is a WrestleMania moment.
I got goosebumps because I knew that was good.
Book that shit, dude. That is freaking awesome.
My pitch is like the exact opposite, and that Rey Mysterio does, or that Dominic does end up, he gets sort of gaslit by Chavo Guerrero into becoming like Dominic Guerrero and attacking Ray, and that his motivation for taking Ray's mask would be to end the Mysterio legacy so that the Guerreros live on. Like
that could be a stepping stone. That could be like a stepping stone to the Parrish idea. I think you could find a way to incorporate both things. But I think that payoff at WrestleMania for like to either take that Rey Mysterio gimmick, that character essentially, or like if you wanted, if you have to do the turn, then you have Dominic like unmask him and be like, okay, I'm not just unmasking you, I am ending your dad, I am ending your career by doing this.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I love you.
Yeah.
I just think it'd be like apropos because what the mask represents is honor, and what it represents is respect and things like that. And you're keeping this and you're really paying homage to that Mexican heritage, which a lot of this stuff
big
is.
Deal. That is a big deal.
It is a big deal. And I think this is a way where you can actually unmask someone, but what you're doing is you're rebirthing the same thing. And it's like a second coming of that character.
To give a little perspective to some people, to give an example, I think one of the best examples currently would be Pentagon, right? You want to talk like masked Mexican wrestlers. It's like for those who are the uninitiated, who may be a little bit new to professional wrestling or new to our program, to really kind of explain this to the newcomers. Like these guys, like it's not like just like a casual type of character. Like these guys embody this so much to the point where their real name isn't even on public record. Like there are like a handful of other wrestlers in the business that maybe know who these guys are, but for the most part, like 99.9% of people out there don't even know who these guys' real name are. That's how invested into the character they are, and how much that mask means to protecting their identity and to maintaining that character. It's very unique in professional wrestling these days, because the majority of wrestling characters, like you get to see like them mowing their lawn in their Speedo, right? With these Mexican guys with these masks,
they do that too.
Yeah,
I think it might be like with their names not being on record, that might help them out with when it comes income tax time at the end of the year. You know what I mean?
Potentially, but I just wanted to really kind of convey that like when it comes to the persona, and Mexican wrestlers, the one who really take it seriously, they really take it seriously, and they're very protective of not only the legacy of their character, but who they really are as a person.
100%. My point though is that I would like to see Dominic as a heel, like because we talked about earlier how Bailey's developed confidence from being a heel, and I think that that would serve Dominic really well.
Don't do it too soon.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's
it has to be believable for sure.
Yeah.
Let Dominic be able to get his feet wet as a pro wrestler first.
To really make it a successful heel turn, you really need to get over with the fans as a baby first. So you can really make it. And one of the best examples, I absolutely despise him, but I mean, one of the most epic heel turns of all time, Hulk Hogan over on WCW. Like when you get that over for such a long period of time, then when you actually make the turn like that, it really gets people going. So, like I said, build up to that, but don't do it too soon. Don't jump the gun.
Well, and that's why I go back to when Dean Ambrose turned heel, and a lot of people said it was in bad taste. I thought it was absolutely perfect in the pro wrestling scene, because if there was a moment in time that you expected the complete opposite to happen, you got that.
I agree with your point there, Joe, but I also think that there could be a lot of story involved in the fact that this is Rey Mysterio, and that's quite the legacy to live up to. To expect Dominic to have to be as good and as beloved as Rey Mysterio before he can turn heel, like that's a lofty expectation. I think that you could make the story about Dominic being like, hey, this isn't fair for you people to put this on me, to expect me to be like my dad, so I'm gonna kill my dad and make you forget all about him, and then all you're gonna have him in the ring for me. That's just like I don't think he exactly must become that before he turns, and I think the turn could, because after he has a run as a bad guy, he can go back to being a good guy, and he'll be all the more confident.
It's all about the time. Like one of the best heel turns recently, in my humble opinion, you guys and our viewers may not agree, when Seth turned on the Shield. Like for me, like and the way that was done, you could tell like leading up to that there was like some dissension happening, and then to have both guys back turns, and for Seth to then like that was like beautifully executed. Right. So
I remember being
you have to truly get over the top in the other direction before you flip. Otherwise it's just not as impactful. This is the point, the greater point that I'm trying to make.
I remember being at the Cauliflower Alley Club, watching a wrestling show.
How cool was that, by the way? Because we're like since we're going a little bit overtime anyways, elaborate on that. We have somebody here who's been literally at the Cauliflower Alley Club. I mean,
I've wrestled at the Cauliflower Alley Club. Actually,
big deal, bro. It's a big deal.
Well, I mean, it's a great time, a great chance to like just go learn, meet a lot of people. The coolest story is I got to meet Percy Pringle, and you know what? He was the first person to find out that I was proposing. So how cool of a statement is that? So when I'm watching the pallbearer thing with my wife, and I tell my wife for the first time, he was the only one who knew that I was proposing to you. That was pretty cool.
Hey, Percy, do you think I should propose to my wife? Oh, yes!
It was one of those things where I sat down with him for 45 minutes, and we didn't talk a single lick about pro wrestling, and I had no idea that I was even going to go to that thing. He happened to get that out of me because he just turns to the things that matter. He was such a great person, and these are the connections you get to men. I did shot for shot with Mean Gene Okerlund. Like, how cool is that? And then Ron Hutchinson is now a friend of mine. Like, and shared a cab with one half the Killer Bees, man. Like, come on, just the stories I got are tremendous. But with that being said, like, I remember just hearing about the Rollins turn, and I literally left the show. Went to my hotel room because it's in the same hotel just so I can watch this. And then I went back, and it was just like one of those things where I'm like, least, you know what? I got to see this. It's something I had to see to believe.
It was the first time in a long time, like especially during the Attitude Era. Like I know, like it's a polarizing thing. Like the Attitude Era is really cool, but it's also the reason why we're kind of in the PG era. So I know it's a little polarizing with a lot of people. But like during that time, there were like a lot of legitimate moments, like where we'd be watching wrestling, and then something would happen. You know, like Stone Cold would take out Vince or something that would happen, and like Carl would call me and be like, "Hey, dude, did you see this happen on TV?" And like, oh, that kind of stuff happened. You know, the only time that's happened recently was when this Shield turn happened. That's literally like the last time where it's like I got like a phone call from somebody that I know. It's like, "Hey, did you see what happened on TV?" It was crazy. It was like, you know, that just doesn't happen anymore. And so I just wanted to make reference to that. You know, when this stuff kind of happens, if you really execute it properly, you get people talking, and then people really fully get invested in this stuff, right? To the point where you want to call up your buddy and say, "Oh my God, you have to see what happened on TV. You got to turn on TV and watch it."
Speaking of people talking, speaking of what that, sorry to cut you off, Goose, but we are getting out over that time.
We are.
Yeah, so I was just going to say, what are your overall thoughts on SmackDown tonight?
Yeah. Let us know in the comments. Let us know on all of our platforms what you guys think about SmackDown, what you guys think about LoveWrestling.com. I'm aware we'll get to those plugs later, but our final things. Goose, I'm going to start with you, and I'm going to throw up this. Tell the good old folks where they can see you and what you thought of SmackDown.
Of course, I really enjoyed tonight's SmackDown 100%. This link at the bottom of the screen will direct you directly to my store on Pro Wrestling Tees. Another great way to get at it if you're not into copying this entire spiel down is just go to ProWrestlingTees.com, search for Goose. I am the only wrestler in the world named Goose, so my shirts come up pretty quickly if you search for me on there. I do appreciate it. I have this shirt that was designed by my good friend Cameron Stevens, who, congratulations, just got married last week in Newfoundland. I also have another shirt up there made by RD Rad Pencils, and he's an actual professional comic book artist. So go ahead, please buy a shirt. I would really appreciate it. Earlier today, I mentioned Seth Rollins and his wacky suits. And I should say that not this week on Monday Night Shaw, because this week I'm going to be talking to Keishi Matsunaga, who's a local Calgary wrestler who actually wrestled for Mat Rats and stuff back in the day. So I sat down and chatted with him. So that's going to be this Monday. And then the following 2 Mondays are going to be my interview with Thaddeus Archer, because me and Thad hadn't talked in a while, and it was a 3-hour podcast. So we're going to cut that baby in half and split it into 2 weeks. And so look forward to those episodes of Monday Night Shaw coming up on Backbreaker Media very soon.
And the connection is Thad wears ridiculous suits as well.
Yes, Thaddeus. So Seth Rollins totally raided Thad's closet for sure.
Joe, I don't know what link I could throw up, so I'm going to throw this one up instead. But what did you think of SmackDown, and where can people find you?
Well,
I was going there.
I am wearing the Love Wrestling t-shirt, which of course you can get over at lovewrestling.ca/shop, as well as I believe we still have some mugs, some stickers, and you can't buy the belt that Parrish has, but
I call this Rob Van Dam because it's one of a kind.
Eventually maybe we'll get some replicas. I think we'll really know that we've really arrived major big time if we get a replica wrestling belts, but we'll see on that one. But for myself, coming up on Love Wrestling, to get people a little bit of a heads up, I will actually, for the first time I think since its inception, I will not be on this week's Sunday brunch, unfortunately, due to real life commitments. But coming up this week on Turnbuckle Rewind, we don't have it firmed down yet, but I am making a push with Carl to make sure that the match will be a women's match of some sort. I don't know if it's going to be an NXT match or Stardom or something. I'm going to try and make sure it's a women's match. I just don't know which one yet. And of course, Carl and I do Turnbuckle Talk. I'm not pointing in the right place. That should be coming up either this coming Monday or Tuesday, depending if real life gets in the way or not. And we'll try and get that out on Monday in the video format, and then Tuesday on the audio.
Awesome. I just want to remind everyone that we are here at Love Wrestling trying to become a top 10 podcast. And how you can help us out is go to ratethispodcast.com/lovewrestlingca. And if by chance you are not watching us on Twitch and you're like, hey, what is a Twitch fan? Well, it is twitch.tv/lovewrestling.ca. But if you're also watching on Twitch and you want to know, hey, do you have a YouTube?
We
certainly do. It is youtube.com/lovewrestling.ca. And what I like to promote for the next few days is this. Donate/tiltify.com/@putting-you-over/St. Jude. Because the guys are putting you over for the month of May are helping people raise awareness for the great job that St. Jude is doing for all the underprivileged and the sick children. So please give the people at Putting You Over a shout. Give the people over at St. Jude a little bit of a thank you for doing such a great job and help people out here because people are in a sign of need. That wraps us up here for Love Wrestling recap of SmackDown. I thought it was just a terrific show. And I think that's it. So in the words of one Ace Ventura, Joe, can you sign us up, please?